Hey, and welcome to another Every Tuesday tutorial. In this week's tutorial, we're going to create this super cool 80s retro text effect, all in Photoshop from scratch, including the background too. This whole thing is in CMYK, so it's intended for print. So if you're following along and you're making something for web, just make sure when I show the color schemes, if you want to use the same color schemes, that you're using RGB, and when you set up your file that you're also using RGB. So other than that, let's get started. I'm going to go File, New, and I'm going to make my document a little bigger than this just so we can crop into it afterwards to a crop that we like, kind of like this. So since this is a print document, one of the defaults, if you go to US paper, it kind of fills everything in for you. And I'm just going to change the width to being 11 inches and the height 8.5. And that'll make it a landscape orientation instead of portrait. The resolution set at 300, which is the standard print resolution. If you're working in web, just make sure that it's set at 72. Color mode CMYK. If you're making something for web, change this to RGB. And background contents, totally cool being white. So if you have everything on your screen that looks like my screen, hit OK. All right, so we need to unlock our background layer, which is locked right now. So just double click on that and hit OK, and now we can apply any color we want to it. If you've watched any of my other tutorials, you'll know that I usually use a preset color scheme, and it's super helpful because then I can just eyedropper color whenever I need it. I don't have to input values constantly. So I'm gonna bring in the one that I have for this tutorial. I'm just gonna paste them in and kind of tuck them up here. So while we're using them, we can access them. I'll go through each one of them so you can kind of take note. Just pause the video and write down the color builds if you want to use the same colors. I don't think I use this medium gray color at all, but I'll give it to you anyway in case you do want to use it. So let me just go through each of them. Here's this charcoal color. CMYK values are right here. RGB are right here. And just for sake of time, I'm just going to click through and not name them all off. So here's the medium gray, here's the super light gray, here's the blue, and here's this goldenrod color. All right, and our background's going to be blue, so I'm going to eyedropper this blue, and whenever you eyedropper anything, by default it sets it to the foreground color right here. And here's a kind of a quick tip on how to color things quickly just using your keyboard, which I love to do. It's a huge time saver. So once I eyedropper this, I'm just hitting I on my keyboard to activate my eyedropper. I click, it's set at the foreground. I'm just going to switch it to the background, and I can do that just by hitting X on my keyboard, and now you can see the blue has gone to the background. And then if I hit Command Delete or Control Backspace, if you're on a PC, it fills the color automatically for me. A lot of people like using the paint bucket, but this just makes it a little quicker, and you get to use your keyboard for everything, which is always pretty fast and handy. All right, so our color is blue, but it's flat and it's not retro feeling at all. So I'm going to double click and we're just going to apply quick layer style. I'm going to go to pattern overlay. These are my default patterns, so just kind of ignore these paper textures. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to use the one labeled grip pattern 1. Now this is a grip pattern that I created. You can pick it up. It is a purchased item, but if you don't want to buy it, that's cool. On my website, my blog, every-tuesday.com, I'll leave a link in the video description of where you can pick up free ones if you want to use those. If you want to get this exact one, there will be a link there too with a discount code too. So this is the one that I'm using for the background. It's the grit pattern 1. And another good tip is whenever you have a black pattern or a black shape, whenever you have that, if you set your blend mode to divide, it automatically makes it white, which is pretty cool. And this is very small in this background, so I'm going to double the size and just scale it up to 200%. But now it's really bright, so I'm going to change the opacity to 25 just to push it back a little bit. And that gives me enough grittiness, texture for my background to lay my text on top of. So I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to label this layer my background. And we're going to move on to our text. So I'm going to hit T on my keyboard to activate my text tool. And I'm just going to type out 80s retro, and it's all in lowercase. I'm going to use a font that I use pretty frequently. It works really well for a lot of retro type things. It's super neutral. It's Novecento Sans. This is a free font, and I'll leave a link for this font as well in the video description. And I've got it set at 140 points with tracking set at 25 right here. You don't need to worry about the leading because we don't have 2 lines. And as you'll notice in the example, the main color is this gold color. So I'm just gonna click on here. If you don't have your character palette showing up for you, you can get to it by going Window, Character, and you'll get the same thing. So I'm going to change the color. I'm just going to click on this color, and then automatically I get an eyedropper, and I'm going to eyedropper my yellow right here. I'm going to hit OK. All right, so now we're going to go into our effects. So I'm going to double click on my text layer. And the first thing I'm going to do is set a stroke, because we're going to add some blue lines and we don't want them to kind of merge into the background so we can't tell where the text is. So I'm going to click stroke. I'm just going to check it right here. And with it selected, I'm going to change the size to 14 pixels. And everything else is the same. It's normal. Opacity is 100. And the color, I'm just going to click on the color right here, and I'm going to eyedropper this dark gray color and hit OK. All right, so that's the first step. We have additional styles to apply here, so we're going to get through those right now. The next one we're going to do is probably the most complicated, and this is the gradient overlay. And there's a few things to keep in mind. It's a little complicated, but it's totally doable, I promise. So all of these settings, we're just going to use the default setting here, and I'm going to click on the gradient, and this is where we're going to come into the gradient editor. And because we're using lines, instead of building everything from scratch, we might as well use one of the presets just to use as a foundation. And I'm going to use this one, which is called Transparent Stripes. If your presets right here are not showing up like mine are, if you've edited them at all, you can get right back to this. Just make sure you save what you have so you don't lose it. If you hit this little gear icon, you can come down and do Reset Gradients and just hit OK. And you'll get the same thing that I'm showing right here. And we're going to click this one, this Transparent Stripes. And you can see down here, it's supplied us with a lot of foundation elements. And this can kind of look intimidating, but it's much easier than it looks, I promise. So when you're in this type of editor, the important thing to know is that these bottom nodes right here, these are your color nodes. This is a gradient of color. Up here is a gradient of opacity. So the amount of color that's showing through from 0 to 100%. And down here is the color. So if I change this node, if I just click on it and then I click on the color and I eyedropper my blue right here and hit OK, you can see that the color is a gradient from this blue to this default cream color. And I just want blue stripes for my whole thing. I don't want any type of gradient color going on. So I'm just going to click on this node, click on color, and choose blue again. And now you can see all of my stripes are blue. Okay, so that's the easier part. Up here, these are your opacity nodes. So white opacity node means there's 0 opacity being applied, whereas a black one has 100% opacity. So when you have a 100 on top of a 0, it makes a straight line, because it's telling the computer that once you get here, you stop. You don't go any further because there's no more opacity being applied because of the 0%. You have 100% up to this point, and then it turns to 0%. So there's no more color being shown. So in this editor, whatever's on the left side is what will show up on the bottom of your text right here. And for our example, we want just the gold color on the top. We don't want any stripes there, so we want to get rid of the stripes that are appearing right here. And I'm just getting rid of these nodes by clicking and dragging, and that gets rid of them. And I really just want 3 stripes. I want a big bottom one, a middle one, and then a skinny top one. So I'm going to get rid of these ones. Okay, so just remember that you want a 0% and a 100% on top of each other to give you a straight line. If you accidentally get rid of one of yours, all you have to do is click anywhere, and you can see it like I needed a white one and it gave me a white one. But if it gave me a black one, all I have to do is type in 0 right here and I'll have a white one, and then I can just drag it back over to get that straight line. Okay, so I need to move all of these over a little bit because I need to make my bottom one much bigger. And you can see sometimes it's a little fussy. We'll come back to that one and I'll fix it. All right, I'm just gonna move all the stuff over. All right, this one does need to be a straight line though. All right, so this is gonna be the width of my bottom stripe. I'm just gonna bring this out. So all I did was move the nodes over. So now it's all about lining up the nodes. So now you can see I've got this thick bottom stripe right here that follows this part right here. So now I need to go on to my second one. Ignore what's going on right here just for a second. And I'm just gonna slide this node over and I'm gonna slide this node over. And once they make this straight line that goes this way, then I'm good. So I'm just gonna slide. And now I've got a second stripe, which you can see right here. And for my final stripe, I just need to line it up and line it up again. And now I've got my third stripe. And these are kind of thick stripes. I'm gonna make my middle one just a little thinner. And if you just remember that they need to line up right on top of each other, it'll make this a lot less confusing when you get some opacity gradients happening. And this one I'm going to make just slightly smaller. All right, so here is my gradient, and I'll hit OK when I'm happy with it. And if you ever need to come back in and edit it any further, all you have to do is click right here, and you can come right in here and edit it directly. All right, so everything else is going to stay the same here. And if you noticed in the example, I kind of had a like an inner stroke, but we're going to achieve this by applying an inner glow, and it's going to be this light gray color. So I'm going to click inner glow right here. And first I'm going to set the blend mode to normal because I want the color to appear exactly how it looks right here. And I'm going to click on this color preview and I'm going to select that color and hit OK. I'm going to make the size of mine 9 pixels. And for the range down here, this is what's going to get it nice and thick for me. I'm just going to hit 1 and you can see I've got this nice inner stroke happening just by using inner glow. And the last thing I'm going to do is just apply a little bit of grit to the actual text. So I'm going to click pattern overlay right here and I'm going to come down, and this time I'm going to use the second pattern, the grit pattern, which you can see right here. And some of the specks just look a little big, so I'm going to change the scale to 50%. because I want it to be subtle, and I'm going to change the blend mode to multiply. And actually I want, yeah, everything's good. You can change the opacity if you want, but it's kind of subtle to begin with, so I'm going to keep the opacity at 100%. So with all of these things complete, I'm going to hit OK. And now I've got my text effect right there. And now if I want to add an extra line, so I'm going to close up this little effects right here. Things can get kind of nuts when everything's open, so I tend to always do that. So I'm going to hit T on my keyboard and I'm just going to type in text effect. And I'm going to change the size of this to 120 points and line it up. And I want this exact same style applied to the text that I just wrote out. So if you're just playing around in Photoshop, you can do this by right-clicking on the FX right here on the text layer we just created, and just go copy layer style, and then right-click on your new layer and choose paste layer style. And now you get the exact same effect. But say I want this effect to come from the top, so it looks like a continuous stripe that went right straight through between these two lines of text. If I double click on text effect and go to gradient overlay, and all I do is choose reverse, now it's coming from the top, so it kind of looks like there's a stripe right here, this invisible stripe through the center. So if I hit OK, that's kind of cool. I'm going to close this up, and the last thing I'm going to do is throw in a burst in the background, which will just add a little extra interest to this. So I released a set of free vector bursts a few weeks ago, and you can, I'll leave the link for this too, and I'm just going to grab this big one and copy it, Command C or Control C if you're on a PC, go into Photoshop, and then I'm just going to hit Command V or Control V if you're on a PC, and hit OK. And then I'm just going to scale it up. I'm holding Shift on my keyboard, so I scale it up proportionally and kind of figure out a nice spot for that. Hit Enter when you're happy with where it's at. And now I'm going to change the color of it. But first, obviously it needs to go behind the text. So I'm just going to click and drag so I end up behind the text. And double click, color overlay, click on this color, choose the light gray, hit OK. I'm going to keep the blend mode set to normal, hit OK. And I'm going to change the opacity right here for the whole layer to 30%, just to push it into the background a little further. All right, so now we can crop our image. We can turn off our color schemes because we don't need those anymore. And I'm going to hit C on my keyboard to crop, and just make sure that you don't have any default settings. Right here I have a default setting, so I'm going to delete that. So when I scale down, when I crop into it, it doesn't, it crops from the actual original artboard size instead of anything you put in here. So I'm just going to crop into it, find something that I like, hit Enter. Cool. So that's how to make an 80s retro text effect from scratch in Photoshop. But as a gift to all of my subscribers and people watching this video, I'm going to give you the layer style that we just made. And you can pick it up on my blog, every-tuesday.com. I'll leave a link in the description where you can pick it up. And once you download it, I'm going to show you how to install it. So you might also find it helpful to know how to export an ASL file or a layer style file. So I'm going to show you how to first save a file if that's something that you need to do, and then I'll show you how to install the file, which you will be doing with the ASL file I give to you if you want. So this 80s retro text right here is the style that I want to use instead of this text effect where the lines come from the top. I want the lines to come from the bottom. So with that text selected, I'm going to double click, and I'm back in my layer style palette, and it's as easy as going new style right here and naming it 80s text. Hit OK. And then it seems like nothing happened, but it actually saved that style right here. And if you have any other styles right here, just make sure that you delete them. You can do that by selecting the style, right-clicking, and choosing Delete Style. Because when you save a style, any other styles that are in this area are going to be saved with it, and you don't want to keep giving people default styles that they already have. It's just this new one that I want to give you. So that's the only one right here. I'm going to come over here to this little gear, and I'm going to choose Save Styles. And right here is where I'm going to choose where you're going to save it, and I'm going to title mine 80s text style, and click Save. And now I need to load it up. So I'm going to pretend that I'm you right now, and you have a brand new document and you want to apply the style to it, so you need to install it. So first, within your file, you're going to type out the text that you want to apply the style to. So I'm going to type out text. Let me move these other pieces down so we can see what we're working with. I'm going to drag text down. All right, so this is the type, if I'm you, that I want to apply the style to. So I'm going to double click on the text because we need to apply the layer style. I'm going to come up here to styles, and you won't see this on yours. You'll have your default styles or nothing at all. So you're going to come over to the gear and choose load styles, and this is where you're going to choose the ASL file that you'll be able to download on the site. So click open, and you can see it installed it right here exactly as it was before. And then all you're going to do is just click on the style, and it applies it immediately. Hit OK, and then you can come in, you can double click, and if you wanted the lines to come from the top, all you have to do is go to gradient overlay, select reverse, and the lines can come from the top. So any editing you want to do, you can do right there. So that's how to create a retro text effect in Photoshop from scratch. I'll leave all the links that I mentioned in the video description. There are a lot of them for this one. I'll also leave the link to my Facebook fan page and my Twitter handle if you'd like to follow me there. I'm posting new stuff all the time. And if you like this tutorial, please subscribe. It's what keeps me going. So any subscribers are greatly appreciated. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.